One trip changed everything. I thought I was going on a simple blind date. Instead, I uncovered a family secret I may never be able to forget. I still can't believe how one trip changed everything. It was a normal Saturday. I was driving to the next town for my first ever blind date. We met through an app, a cute guy named Ryan, sociable, funny, with a little self-irony. I had never practiced this kind of dating before. To be honest, I had never had a dating app and I thought it was pretty creepy. But my friend Ella constantly tells me that I need to communicate more and meet new people so as not to remain an old maid for the rest of my life. This is a direct quote from her, by the way. So, I finally took the plunge and signed up for Tinder. At first, I was not interested at all, but I must admit, in a couple of days I got hooked. It's nice to read compliments in the morning. I felt not lonely for the first time in a long time. I liked one guy in particular. He was so easy to talk to that we immediately decided that we were soulmates. After a week of very sweet correspondence, he suggested meeting at a cozy restaurant outside the city. I spent a long time choosing a dress, curling my hair, putting on eyeliner, everything seemed important. This was my little adventure, my personal story, which could have started beautifully. I arrived early. The restaurant was small, with soft lighting and floor-to-ceiling windows. I nervously played with the ring on my finger, looking at the guests. What if someone looked like they were also waiting for the meeting? And then I saw her. Mom. My mom. In the romantic twilight, she was sitting at a table by the window, opposite an unfamiliar man. At first, I even doubted it. It was too strange to see her here. But it was her manner of adjusting her hair, a slight smile, a painfully familiar turn of her head. I froze, rooted to the spot. They talked, laughed. She leaned closer. And a moment later, their lips merged in a kiss. Slowly, tenderly, as if they had known each other for 1,000 years. I sat and watched, unable to move. My heart was pounding somewhere in my throat. Mom. Kissing. Another man. Not Dad. I didn't know how to breathe. I didn't know how to get up and leave. I didn't even know how to look normal so as not to attract attention. It seemed like everything around me had gone silent, except for the sound of my own heartbeat. The phone in my hands shook. A message from Ryan, I'm already inside. Where are you? I stood up. I practically ran out of the restaurant. I leaned against the wall outside and convulsively inhaled the cold evening air. My eyes stung with tears, but I held them back. I couldn't cry now. Not here. To understand my state, you need to know my family. Always perfect parents who have been together their whole lives and dote on each other. At least, that's what I always thought. They looked so happy and were always an example in relationships for me. Ryan came up a minute later. Cheerful, with a shy smile. But I immediately apologized and lied that I urgently had to leave. Something happened at home. In fact, I just couldn't pretend that everything was okay. All the way home, I whispered to myself that it was a mistake. That it was a misunderstanding. Maybe it was an old friend? A colleague? Some gesture I'd misunderstood. But inside, I knew it was real. When I pulled into our yard and saw the lights in the windows of my home, something in my chest began to clench painfully again. Dad was home. He was making dinner, laughing loudly at a joke he'd told on the phone. Everything was so normal. So terrifyingly normal. And only now I knew it was a lie. The next few days were the hardest in my life. I avoided my mother, couldn't look her in the eye. I caught every little thing she did, her laughter at dinner, her hugs before bed. Everything seemed fake, a pretty wrapper hiding something rotten inside. I wanted to tell Dad. I felt like I had to. But at the same time, I imagined his face, his pain. He loved her. I saw it every day. He would never cope with such betrayal. Our family would fall apart. Or maybe Mom will fix it herself. Maybe it was a one-time madness, a mistake she will regret for the rest of her life? Maybe it is not my business to interfere in other people's adult relationships. I lay awake at night, tossing and turning in my bed. I replayed in my head the conversations I could have started. I imagined screams, tears, broken plates, luggage bags in the hallway. And then, one morning, I went down to the kitchen and saw Dad hugging Mom around the waist, laughing at something, whispering something in her ear. And there was such love in her eyes, such softness, that I lost the last of my strength to fight. How could I ruin all this? Do I have the right to interfere? What would you do in my place? I made a choice. I decided to keep the secret. Not because I forgive her. Not because I justify her. Because sometimes the truth destroys more than it saves. It's been 6 months since then. I carry it inside like a scar. Sometimes I look at my mom and think, why? Sometimes I look at my dad and my heart squeezes with guilt. Sometimes I hate myself for keeping silent. But I did what seemed right then. By the way, Ryan never showed up again. He probably thought I was weird, that he was wrong about me. I feel sad about it, but I don't know how I could have acted differently in that situation. And I don't go on Tinder anymore. God knows how many family secrets I still don't know, and I don't want to know.